Now, I think we're going to be moving into the panel. So I'd like to invite the speakers back to the stage. And our guest today, if anybody else has got any questions that they would like to ask the speakers, do pop them in the chat and I will do my level best to get them answered for you. Okie dokie. Did you enjoy that, guys?
Yeah.
That was good.
The thrill of the delivery, I think you always feel like you've had an adrenaline rush, don't you, when you kind of address the virtual audience? Perfect. Okie dokie. So obviously Karen talked a little bit there about some kind of ideas around making sure that your outreach isn't stagnant. And perhaps you guys saw on LinkedIn last year that we had our very own Sophie Allen, Business Development Director, jump in the sea to try and attract the attention of a prospect. So I wanted to ask you guys, what is the most inspired piece of outreach you've ever done to try and win a client to inspire our audience? Who'd like to go first?
Go on, Niamh.
I was like, what is the most inspiring thing I've ever done? I think, okay, I'm definitely not as gutsy as Sophie for sure. I think I definitely need like a boost more confidence. I'd say I think I spend a lot of time researching, so I wouldn't say I do think really gutsy. I just spend just a couple more minutes just trying to find a little nugget of research, nothing particularly about the company, just something more about the prospect, what they like. Oh, they like cycling. Okay, perfect. Let me see if I can create an email with a story about cycling, just something like that.
Mm-hmm. So trying to get to know them personally. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Ideas around inspired outreach that you guys have done?
I can go next. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I'm a bit like in Niamh's team in that I wouldn't say that I'm an amazingly creative person in my outreach, but what I try to focus on when I write my emails is I just write the email and I take a step back and I read it and I'm trying to think, putting myself in my prospect's shoes and trying to understand if I would receive it, would I actually answer? Would I actually read it? Would it interest me? And I'm trying to, to take that perspective and make it about them and make it quite short. And those are my top tips. And for me, it's worked quite well, personally.
Okay, cool. A good question coming in from the audience here then is from Jasmine. So I guess one angle is obviously getting to know people on a personal level, but what about if you're trying to sell to a tough crowd like financial services sales directors, where maybe that personal tone might not resonate with them? Then what would be your top tips there to try and get the message across to get them to engage with you?
I guess it's my turn to jump in on that one. Basically, obviously from an AE perspective here, but I think it applies to SDRs on the phones as well, is this term called like mirroring. And I know some people have probably heard that, they've probably read some books or tips, and it sounds like a bit of a bogus term, but it's very straightforward. It's just reciprocating what that person is doing to you on the other side of the call or the demonstration. If you've got someone that's very direct, very to the point, not giving you much, don't be afraid to do that back to people. Don't be afraid to mirror that kind of bluntness, that kind of straightforward approach. And a lot of senior people actually respect it. They actually prefer you being straight to the point as opposed to fluffing around with different answers. So my advice, if you have a tricky crowd, is don't be afraid to mirror them, dish them back kind of what they're giving you on the other line, and just be very concise with the questions that you're asking. Don't beat around the bush.
Cool. I think that's some really good advice there. Okay, Niamh, you obviously talked about the importance of team. So for anybody who's joined us today, who's thinking, right, I'd really like to bring some of those dynamics to their team, what is something that an SDR could instigate potentially as like a team activity to maybe foster that team working environment?
Yeah, I think firstly, when you start, just like make the effort to just put at least 15-20 minutes in like everyone's diary. I think I'm really close with the AEs as well to the SDRs. So I'm just making the effort, just try and get to know each other on a personal level. And then we all have different WhatsApp groups to like celebrate success and things like that. But I think one thing that we've tried that we haven't like completed yet, but we tried to all jump on a Zoom and then do cold calls and then come back and then like give each other feedback. But none of us have actually tried to got the same time that we're all available. But that's something that I think people could just give it a go, just to create that like office environment, like you're doing a calling hour, trying to create that buzz.
Any advice from the rest of the panel there about how to foster that team working environment, especially maybe in the remote times that we're in?
So I run a global team. So I think they all sit at home. They all sit, across multiple time zones. So I think one of the biggest things we have is a Slack channel. I know it's really low key, but my biggest job in that is really, I'm a cheerleader for my team. I think a lot of what I do is just trying to get the good thing out of them. And then we do regular sessions around messaging, around objection handling, and we work together to inspire each other and really lift each other up rather than go, oh my God, this is such a grind.
So keeping that positivity flowing through your online channels when you're working together, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I think one of the things that the BDR community really enjoy from Sales Confidence is practical tips that they can put into place straight away in their roles. So I'm going to ask you for either your best voicemail tip or what you do in the first 10 to 15 seconds of your call if it's answered to attract and hook your prospect. So go on, Charlie, what have you got for us? A voicemail hook.
I'm going to go down the voicemail route. I'm a big advocate of not pitching on a voicemail or asking for someone to call you back, and actually using a voicemail as like another channel to steer them in another direction. So a really practical way to do that, and an example that I would use would be, you've gone through to someone's voicemail, quick introduction, say that you've sent them over something really exciting via email, or I'm going to be sending you something really exciting via email, and leave it there. Don't try and pitch, don't ask for time to call you back, because they're probably not going to call you back. But just get your name in front of them. When they see your name crop up in the top of their inbox, they're more likely to be opening that because you've already dropped your name over, would be my one for voicemails. Cool.
Niamh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I was just going to reiterate that. I like to send vidyards as like my first touch, just like a 45-second video to my prospects. So I'll leave a voicemail a couple of days after, just like directing them to the inbox. And all I say is the subject line is, and then just say, blah, blah, I sent you over a personalized video or something like that. And then for the first 10 seconds of the video, I just like to hold up my phone and say like, hey, Elaine, the reason I'm reaching out to you is because I saw this, and just keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And Olivia? A hook or a voicemail from you?
Yeah, I'll go for the hook to give a bit more insights on that. So basically, the way I approach cold calling is I call it more warm calling. So what I'm trying to do if I cold call someone is basically giving them a reason to listen to me. And so I'm doing my research beforehand. I don't just... I would do a research on a list that I have, and I wouldn't have a very long list. I would have a list of people that I really want to reach out to, and I know why. So, for example, I might reach out to someone and say, hi, Nick, I'm reaching out to you because of your role at that company. I've noticed on LinkedIn you're working on those types of projects. I'm actually working with some other of your peers, and I can name some specific companies on those types of projects. And I was hoping we could schedule a discussion to understand if we can replicate, or if there's an opportunity for us to work together as well. So that's just an idea. But basically trying to do my research before and understand what they might be interested in, so I can relate my messaging to that.
And making the calls meaningful. What do you advise your team to do, Karen?
So I agree with everyone. The thing is, people's attention span is super short. So you need to show, I am calling you, I'm approaching you because of these reasons. Within 10, 15 seconds, that's all you have. And one of the things that we've stopped doing in our voicemails is actually giving the phone number, because everyone has caller ID. And it's just taking time, and people already zone out, right? And to go back to my point about voicemails are really tricky because you repeat them so often that you sound really scripted. So you need to make sure that you put on a smile, shoulders up, and then you sound like you're really excited to talk to this person. Right. And so those are the things that we talk about, like how do we make sure that this is another touch point where you get a point across and you don't just sound like, oh, this is another voicemail.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Obviously, Karen, you talked about self-motivation, and one of the major aspects of working in sales as either an SDR or an AE is naturally we're going to have good days and we're going to have more challenging days. So when you guys have had a bad day at the home office, what's your go-to strategy to make yourself feel better and then supercharge your next move that you take to generate pipeline?
I'm happy to jump in on that one.
Go on.
Yeah, I can speak from experience here. I've had my fair few rough days, so I'm not going to shy away from that fact. So one thing I think that I've learned is that it comes around to trusting your processes. You know, we're all in fantastic companies. We've got fantastic people around us. You know, the chances are you've probably got a very robust process in place. And as long as you're doing, you know, the numbers in between each step of the way, you know, things will tend to look after themselves. So I don't think there's a case of just do more, make more dials. I think people can work smarter, not harder. But if you trust your process that you've got in place, that's really, you know, all you need as a foundation to keep yourself going. Things will turn. You know, sales is annoying because when you're really, really busy, you don't really see the results at the time of being busy. It's usually a month, 2 months, or even 3 months later if you're an AE that you start reaping those rewards. So trust your processes. It'll come is my advice on that one.
Yeah, perfect. Niamh, do you want to add to that? Any ideas from you?
Yeah, I keep saying, just to reiterate what Charlie said. Yeah, I was going to say, like, trust the process. So just figure out like what KPIs you need to do, like monthly, weekly, and then what you need to do a day, just the minimum. So then let's just say you've had a really busy day of calls, discovery calls, or you've been jumping on like internal meetings. As long as you've done that minimum, again, just trust the process and know that by the end of the week, at least you've done that, and then the results will come.
Cool. Sounds good. Perfect. Olivia, any thoughts from you there?
Yeah, well, everything the Niamh and Charlie said is absolutely true. So I'm a big fan of strong processes, and make sure you contact certain amount of leads and contacts every day. And you know, you'll see the results, and at some point, hopefully, where you'll get is you'll basically plan ahead and have some meetings already planned for the next month and the next quarter. And then you enter a quarter already have, for example, half of your target done with meetings you've booked from previous month. And then you take off all the stress, and it becomes easier. And you also at this point have more time to spend on building relationships and doing other things on the top of that can help you, you know, in terms of self-development and get ready for your next step. If it's customer success or AE, it depends what you want to do. But yeah, I would advise on that. So planning ahead, processes, and being organized.
Yeah, what do you advise your team, Karen?
I mean, I said it earlier, it's just business. Look, we all sound like idiots on the phone. You know, we really do. The first time you're pitching a new product line or a new angle, or you come back from holiday, I mean, it takes a little time. And sometimes you get caught out. You made 50 phone calls in a day, you haven't spoken to a single one, and then all of a sudden the CIO that you called 40 times before, he's actually picking up, and you're like, right? We all know it, we've all been there, it's just business. That, to me, that's shake it off, brush yourself off. Your goal is 10,000 steps in a day, so let's go.
Love that. Elaine, thank you for hosting this panel, and thank you to the speakers. Sorry, Charlie, to kick you out there, but this has been amazing. So can we have a round of applause, virtual round of applause for all of the speakers and all of you for joining us today. So it's not over yet. We've got networking available for the next half an hour. And this is an opportunity to connect with each other. If you want an ice-breaking question, you know, ask the person for their fun fact. It's so cliche, but at least it can open up the conversations and get this moving. Think about the takeaways that you've got from today and think about how you can implement this. What we're doing with Sales Confidence is trying to create actionable insights that you can take back into your day job after this event or tomorrow. Really appreciate our speakers today. Thank you, Niamh from SalesLoft. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Ben Flowers from Perkbox. I will send that around. Sorry about that. It wasn't cool. Thank you also, Charlie from Cognism, and also the wonderful Karen sharing her experience and expertise from Varicent. So at this point now, you can head over to the networking stage on the right. I'm just going to do some thanks for our partners, and feel free to message me if you can help with our YouTube channel. I basically want to make the YouTube channel a place where you can go and you can just pick on what you need to search, and then we can float it up to you because there's over 365 videos. I want to crowdsource this. DM me. Thank you for Adam and a couple of others, Karen, and also Stacey that emailed me to help out, but I need a few others, and I'll also pay you some dinner money, pocket money, or beer money hopefully we can get to use that just to help out as well. But you'll get to learn along the way. So thanks again for Elaine co-hosting. Thank you for our diamond partner, SalesLoft, the #1 sales engagement platform. Also, check out Varicent from a sales performance perspective and speak to your leadership team about Aircall, Venatrix if you're hiring, MindTickle if you're building out a new team, and then Cognism, Refract, Air Marketing, SalesWorks, and also Sales Psyche if you're looking for some support with your mental well-being and performance. So thanks again, everybody. Head to the networking. Stay around. We want to have conversations with people. I'll be there. Elaine will be there. The speakers will be there. So thank you very much.